Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the 3 utility programs for simple file manipulation in R. Experienced R users will not need these programs as they can more easily and efficiently write their own code to accomplish what these programs do. However, for those of you without knowledge of R, the programs may come in handy. So go down and locate the programs. They're right here under General, these 3. The first utility is called Open an R data file, and it allows you to open an R data file that was stored in a format from the Import tab of my website. When the file is opened, it shows you the names of the variables in the data file. Let's look at an example. I click on Open an R data file. When I do, a set of instructions on how to use the program appears in the description box. I'm not going to go over those with you because I'm going to show you how to use the program here. And then when I come down here, I see the input values box in which I tell the program the parameters of what I want to do. Now I'm going to open a data file, so the first thing I have to do is to tell the computer where the data file is. So I'll click on Choose File. And this is the file that I want to open, abuse2rtxt. I click on it and I hit open. And the variable names that are in the data file are listed here. Remember, R is case sensitive, so any reference to these variables, I have to respect capitalization. Up here, I type in the full folder path where the file is located, and I repeat the file name. And then I come over here and I register the input. My program then generates the R syntax to open the file. I copy that to the clipboard. I open up R. In the upper left here, I'm going to hit Control V and paste the syntax, and as it pastes, it'll execute. This is now open the data file in a data frame called XXX, and these are the names that are in the data frame. And then I can do R commands on them. So if I want to see the summary statistics for all the variables in the data frame, I would enter a command as such. Okay, I'm going to leave this open and minimize it for reasons you'll see in a second. And the second utility is called Save R Data to a File. So I click on it. A set of instructions appears in the description box. I come over here to the input values box. Now the program assumes you've been working on a data frame in R and that now you want to save it to a file. So here you indicate the name of the data frame that you want to save, and in this case it's going to be XXX. Here's the path and file name where you want to save it to. I put an initial entry in there to remind you of the format you need to use. This is the separator you want to use for the different data points. Most R data files just use a blank, but if I want to, I can use a comma delimited separator. In this case, I'm just going to leave this blank because I'm going to use a blank as the separator. Missing data will be scored as NA, which is the standard in R. I'm going to save the column names, which are the variable names, but not row names. And I'm not going to put the data in quotes. Now this option here tells R to save the data frame as is. That's option 3, which is the default. I give the numerical codes for different actions in the description box, but if you can't remember them, if you click on the toggle switch down here, it will show them to you. Now if I change this to a 1, when it saves the data frame, it's going to only keep the variables that are listed in this box here. So if I want to only keep ID, abuse, and stay, in the data frame, I enter them here, comma delimited. The second option eliminates any variable that you list in the box here. So if I want to eliminate leave and intent, I enter a 2 up here, and then the variables that I want to eliminate. I give you those options because sometimes depending upon which one you choose, you'll do less typing down here. Okay, let's go ahead and eliminate, say, the ID variable. I click on register input. I copy the generated syntax to the clipboard. I go back to R where I was working with the data frame, and I paste it right at the cursor here. And that will save the data, but without the ID variable. Let's go check. If I come down here, I open up test.txt. There's the data, but without the ID variable. Okay, I'm going to close this, and we'll go up and look at the third program. And the third program is to merge 2 R data files. So I click on it. I get the instructions in the description box. And then I come to the input values box over here. Again, what's over here is irrelevant, so I can just ignore it. This is the path and name of the first file I want to merge. And this is the path and name of the second file I want to merge. And this is where I want to save the merged files to. Again, I've put in exemplars here to remind you of format. But I'm going to go ahead and type in files I'm going to work with. Now the files that you're going to merge have to have a common ID variable that has the exact same name in each file. And in this case, the name of that ID variable is ID. So I indicate that up here. I can do different types of merging, and I have to enter the numerical code for what type of merging I want. Again, that's in the description box, but you can remind yourself of them here. A 1 is to merge columns. That means to merge the variables in file 1 with the variables that are in file 2. Option 2 is to merge the rows. And that means you're going to stack file 1 on top of file 2 and add cases to the files. Let's go ahead and we're going to do a 2 in this case, where we're going to merge these by adding the cases together. Now this box allows you to do what we did in the previous program, to eliminate or keep certain variables from one file or the other. 5 is the default, which is to just operate on the files as they are. And so that's what I'm going to do first. I'll click register input. Now before I copy this to the clipboard, I usually go back and check and make sure I've entered everything correctly. And I've noticed here I left out the number 2 on the folder path. So I'm going to re-register the input to correct that. And now I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to open up R. And I'm going to hit Control V up here. That merges the 2 data files and stores them here. Let's take a look. There are the variables, and the data files were merged. Now the ID numbers in the second file started with 501, whereas the ID numbers in the first file started with the values of 1. So every case still has a unique ID number, and again, file 1 has been stacked on top of file 2. Let's consider the case where I'm going to merge the columns or the variables in file 1 and file 2. That is, I'm going to add the variables from file 2 to file 1 and store them here. In this case, I'm going to add the variables from this file to this file, and I'm just going to operate with things as is. So I hit register input. I copy it to the clipboard. I open up R. I hit Control V to paste it. And the merged data are here. And let's take a look. Here's the original data file. And the second data file had the variables cov1, cov2, and cov3 in them. Again, the second file also had the ID variable, but it doesn't repeat it because the ID variable is already here. And when it does merging, it matches the two ID variables to make sure they have a common value. Here's the data here, space delimited. Okay, let's suppose that instead I want to merge these two files, but I want to eliminate the variable intent from the first file. Here I would choose the option 2 here. Eliminate variables from file 1. And I type in the names of the variables I want to eliminate, comma delimited, down here. I hit register input. I copy that to the clipboard. I open R. I hit Control V, and that would do the task. Finally, let me show you what happens if you merge two data files and they have common variable names within them, i.e. they're redundant variables. I'll merge these two files. I'll do nothing to them. I'll register the input. I copy that to the clipboard. I open up R. I paste that. And it's merged the data. If I open this, what's happened is because there are redundant variable names, the program distinguishes the variables that are in the first file from the variables in the second file by putting a .x after each of the names in the first file and then a .y by those same names that were in the second file. This is a unique variable that was added from the second file, a propensity score. So read through the instructions and they'll walk you through what you need to know. But this should give you an idea of where we stand with these utilities. Okay, that's it. Thanks a lot.